civilian on board. What started out as a traffic stop ended in an arrest for a man in Queens, New York, after police discovered a cache of weapons in his vehicle.
NYPD officials say they pulled Judd Sampson over around 1:30 Wednesday morning because his license plate was partially obstructed. That's when they discovered the arsenal of weapons inside his car. A 9mm Glock, loaded magazines, body armor, and handcuffs. NYPD uniform items, axes, stun guns, and a weighted whip were just some of what was in the vehicle.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers in New York City. Sanson is facing weapons charges, but police say the investigation continues to determine if he had any ties to terrorism. Cannabis regulators in Massachusetts will allow pot to be transported to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket for the first time. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
She wants the job, but will she get the job? I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. Julie McGuire's trying to become Indiana's next lieutenant governor, but she's been challenged for it by Pastor Micah Beckwith.
Sure, I don't really have a relationship with him. He's out there doing the work, and good for him. I'm excited about having the vote and appreciate the competition. And again, I haven't been working on this for a year. I've been working on this for 5 weeks, but I'm putting 100% effort into it and hoping to get it done.
She tells Indy Politics that she brings great legislative experience to the position. Republicans make their choice for lieutenant governor Saturday. IU Health is ditching non-compete clauses for physicians who practice primary care. John Herrick reports.
That's a move that goes into effect December 15th. IU Health believes the biggest benefit of having no non-compete clauses is that it will foster an environment where physicians can provide exceptional care without barriers, which only helps the patients they serve too. They're also monitoring non-compete clauses for other medical specialties. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Indianapolis Fire Station 32 opened over 100 years ago in the Broad Ripple area. A new station's now under construction to replace it next year. It's a pillar for the community.
The men and women who live and work at this station not only serve our village through their occupation, but they also welcome community to their home with open arms.
Jordan Dillon, executive director of the Broad Ripple Village Association. The station is going to cost just over $7 million to build. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Prepare for a wave of showers and storms to move in, likely after midnight for us here in central Indiana. Severe weather not expected, but we'll keep an eye on things for the moment. As we move into Friday morning, there still will be a few showers around. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Renee Sudas for 93 WIBC.
Lynn just loves the summer in Indy, but she's not going to spend it painting. She called Rhino Shield.
It is a single-wide manufactured home. We moved from our home, which we had the Rhino Shield on. Rhino Shield was what we were going to do. That was no question. We knew we were going to do it.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's not paint, it's better.
The Rhino Shield representative came, and we discussed what we wanted done. And this time, we had the roof done as well.
Now you can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
Even the people that have been a little younger than us have said they don't have to worry about getting just an everyday painter because Rhino Shield has the 25-year warranty, and we truly believe in this product.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Now through Monday, it's our inventory reduction sale. Take up to an extra 20% off the already low sale price on in-stock goods. Plus, huge discounts on special orders from Lazy Boy, Smith Brothers, Hollywood, Berlin Gardens, and Lift Chairs. We guarantee the best price, the best service, and free delivery only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Denny Smith here. Sundown Gardens Customer Appreciation Day is Saturday. Sundown Gardens thanks you for your business over the years. 11 to 2, it's free burgers and hot dogs from the Ritz Charles. The grill will be hot. The sales all week are hotter. 20% off herbaceous perennials, 30% off pottery, fountains, statues, and houseplants. Select gift decor 20 to 50% off, and Japanese maples in stock are 50% off. Save for Father's Day. Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield, sundown.gardens.com.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel Show. All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spring season of the presidential election year has passed, and now we move on to the summer strategy season. That's right, we are ready. Get out the boxing gloves, get the bell all polished up, get that one like weird guy that walks out and holds both of the boxers' hands up in the air. It's time to get to fencing. So this is what's going to be happening over the summer strategy session. Typically, during this portion of the U.S. presidential election cycle, it's big tent building time. This is the era where you'll start to shore up the presidential race with congressional races, maybe hit some key issues, see what it is that's resonating with likely voters, and really start hitting those swing states hard. And basically, both the Biden-Harris campaign and the Trump, whoever his VP is going to be, campaign, we'll talk a little bit about that in the next segment, they're really adapting to that strategy. Spring is over. Now it's time to get into the strategy. Now it's time to start focusing on what's going to carry you through to November. So how are each of these candidates approaching the summer strategy season? Because they have different jobs to fulfill. It's very different to run as an incumbent compared to running as the challenger. So first of all, for the incumbent, the summer before November is all about the 4th of July American dream. You want to make people feel like they are sitting in, if you guys have ever seen the Bing Crosby movie, Holiday Inn, there's the scene when they do the 4th of July and they have like this big, huge American celebration, and it makes you realize that you don't dress up enough for the 4th of July. When I say that the president's goal during his re-election campaign is to make the 4th of July feel like this. Here, take a look. If you're watching the live stream, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Just packed full, everybody with food on their plates, money in their wallet. The suits and the dresses come out. There's American flags everywhere. Pax Americana. It's supposed to feel like the most amazing thing you have ever seen. That's the goal of the incumbent. Now, President Biden is seriously struggling with this because every single area of his administrative policy is on fire. And I mean 5-alarm, Chernobyl-style meltdown fire. The economy, which is the biggest factor in an incumbent's reelection, so trade, inflation, and debt are all terrible for the president's current administration. Immigration, crime, energy, international situations, and of course, President Biden himself, which really is like the rotten cherry on top for this reelection campaign, both in public opinion as well as political allies. President Biden is now in a very strange place where some of the heaviest punches towards his reelection are coming from his left, both on the from the youths, the very pro Hamas and the more socialist members of his caucus, and then also kind of the more establishmentarian columnists like Nate Silver, who have come out and said that if President Biden or the Democrats in general have any hope of winning the upcoming election, more than anything, it is crucial, it is nothing less than essential that President Biden step down. And that has created a serious rift inside the Democratic Party. However, for Trump, this is coalition building time. This is the time when it's the time to prove to the country as the challenger that you have momentum, that you represent the will of the people that are challenging the status quo. And, of course, most importantly, that you have a plan of action. And this has been a difficult challenge for the GOP over the last decade because the Republican Party has realistically split into about 3 or 4 factions. You have the traditional conservatives, you have the populists, you have the establishmentarian kind of neoconservative individuals, and last but certainly not least, you have some of the right-leaning libertarians. And all of these factions are represented, probably best sliced into these 4 categories, in the United States Senate, the most powerful apparatus for echoing your party's views and policies. And the parachute the Biden administration had, the last thing he had to float him gently down to safety was that Trump would not be able to rally the Republican elected members currently who do not like him. And it is rough and tough stuff. Open up the backpack, find an anvil instead of a parachute, because President Trump was on Capitol Hill today meeting with GOP senators. And he walks out into a press conference, and here are a lot of Republican senators who had distanced themselves from Trump in 2020. Now, everybody's on Trump's arm, and Trump's saying things that actually unite the Republican Party.
We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to bring back common sense to government. We're going to have strong borders, and we're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. They're not going to pour in from prisons all over South America and all over the world. And it's not just South America, by the way. It's all over the world.
Those kind of messages are going to resonate with the moderate Republican voters. And when Trump is flanked by the moderate Republican senators, this spells certain doom for any kind of division the Biden-Harris campaign was hoping for in the Republican Party. When all you've got left is like David French writing angry essays in the New York Times and Jen Rubin, who we're going to talk about with awful tweets with Jerry Lopez, that's your inner Republican opposition? I don't think that's going to do what you think it is. And that brings us to what happened today. So Jake Sherman from Punchbowl and MSNBC posted that, quote, Milwaukee, where we are having our convention, is a horrible city, end quote. He claims that Donald Trump said this, and this sent the media into a tailspin. Oh, the Republicans are holding their convention in Milwaukee, and if Trump said that Milwaukee's a horrible city, then I guess there's actually some kind of a stinger on that, but I'm not really sure what it is. But anywho, the media have been making hay about this all day. This is some kind of huge betrayal or whatever. And then a lot of congressmen come out and ask, I don't know where you heard that from, but at least 6 congressmen made it very clear Trump didn't say anything like that. In fact, Trump did criticize the crime in Milwaukee and the individuals who continually vote Democrat time and time and time again in elections. And by the way, it just so happens that according to Statista, Milwaukee is in the top 10 most violent cities per capita of 100,000 people. So for violent crime, it looks like Trump is right. So you have one of two choices here. Either Trump didn't say it at all, and Jake is full of crap, which, from Punchbowl and MSNBC, not really a stretch. And then number 2, if Trump is telling the truth, or if Trump actually did say that, and it's true that Trump said that Milwaukee sucks because of the crime, yeah. Guess what? The east side of Indianapolis, past about 10 p.m., it sucks because of the crime. Duh. This isn't rocket science, boys and girls. So, of course, Biden slaps back, or his intern slaps back, with a picture of Biden saying, I happen to love Milwaukee, and he's holding up the Milwaukee Bucks jersey. And I got to be honest, in that picture, Biden looks like he has no idea where he is. And that brings us to President Biden at the G7 rally in Italy. So whether it's President Biden walking in kind of listlessly bouncing around, no idea where he is, not really being spoken to, just kind of aimlessly drifting. But the worst scene for him was at a parachuting opening event, in which all of these world leaders are clapping for the guy who just landed from the parachute. Look at Biden. He's off facing a completely different direction. He looks around, he starts wandering off, and he's like waving and giving thumbs up to people who aren't there, just like in the distance. And Prime Minister of Italy, Meloni, actually has to grab President Biden's arm and lead him back to the picture that the rest of the world leaders are taking. Guys, it's 2 weeks from the debate. It is 2 weeks from the first debate. And he's being led around like that. Also, President Biden yelled at a member of the press when an individual from Bloomberg, during a press conference with President Biden and Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine today, a Bloomberg reporter asked Joe, hey, you've talked about Hamas a little bit. You've talked about your allyship with Israel. How is that going on? Have you made any progress? And it was an unscripted question. And President Biden instead responds by clapping back and saying, why don't you guys ever play by the rules? What? The President of the United States can't answer unscripted questions right before a debate, which, theoretically is supposed to be all unscripted questions that the president doesn't have access to. So it's going to be a very, very interesting next couple of months. Donald Trump is building a coalition despite what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting Trump to do that at all. I thought we were going to be playing which moderates can be cajoled into voting for Trump in order to get him the electoral votes that he needs as far as endorsements are concerned. And now, instead, right before the DNC, we're seeing a major split faction brawl over on the left side of the aisle as the president of the United States embarrasses Americans abroad, bouncing off walls, as so many online have put it, like a Roomba that's on its last battery dregs. And so the only unknown left is, of course, who is Donald Trump going to nominate for his vice president? Who's the pick? Who's winning the Veep stakes, as it said? Well, good old producer Lou, who's always keeping the show in its finest form, he's hopping on next to talk about it. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
However you're getting around these days.
So when you buy an electric vehicle, you go all the way across America on a single tank of gas.
Oh, wait, what?
You plug it in.
Plug in. Mornings and afternoons for Matt Bear traffic.
To be on time.
Eastbound 465 from Keystone Avenue.
That's what this will do that.
Fuel up on the latest information.
Closure of Allisonville Road to eastbound 4.
We never run out of juice.
It'll help getting around.
On 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and I'm a big fan of Zero-Res because their platinum cleaning systems are truly the very best you can find. Those Zero-Res systems will safely and effectively remove all the deeply embedded dirt, dander, and nasty bacteria in your carpets and floors. Not only does the patented Zero-Res process clean better than anything on the market, surfaces dry faster and your home and business will stay cleaner longer. The reason I know this is because of the patented ZR Water difference. ZR Water uses no soap, leaves no residue, and there are no harsh chemicals because they just aren't needed to get things really clean. That's why Zero-Res is my go-to carpet cleaning company, because I know that they really can get rid of all the uglies. How about having Zero-Res help you take on all of that with a great summer special? Mention WIBC, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at $139, plus you get 20% off their other platinum cleaning services too. Call 317-388-5141. Book things online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
I'm confused. After 40 years, people still tell me that they have seen another spa that's as good as a Royal Spa. I've given tours to engineering groups who see our operation and ask, how can anyone buy from others when Royal Spa products are so much better? The answer is that lots of people don't take the time to understand the unbelievable differences. Come into any of our locations and make the salesperson prove the superiority of the Royal Spa product.
Royal Spa. Diamonds Direct has done it again. This month only, get ready for an offer you can't resist. Buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. That's right, a stunning diamond tennis bracelet at no extra cost. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. So hurry into Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet will not last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free, plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Guys, we're notorious for putting things off. But when it comes to plumbing problems, you don't have to live that way. If you're tired of taking showers with low water pressure or not enough hot water, you've got to stop putting it off and call Lance and the local team at LD Smith Plumbing and ask about water heater specials. These are the guys I trust in my house and in my friends' houses and my relatives' houses, and they're the licensed plumbers you want in your house too. LDSmithPlumbing.com. That's LDSmithPlumbing.com.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Well, the vice presidential sweepstakes are heating up. Things are narrowing down, maybe. I mean, nobody really knows who Trump is going to pick until he actually gets out there and announces who it is. Joining us this evening is the man who knows more about the vice presidential shenanigans than probably anybody else, producer Lou. He's always keeping me up to date on these kind of things. Dude, how's it going?
It is going great, Tony. I'm glad that after months of doing this show together, I can finally pop on.
Yeah, let everyone see the angry Italian who's behind a lot of the things that I'm up to. So let's hop right into it here. There are 7 people, at least a couple of weeks ago, that Trump had supposedly sent some kind of questionnaire to. These are the people that he's considering for the VP. So these were Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, old Doug Burgum. Yeah. Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, J.D. Vance from Ohio, and then Tim Scott. So those are your 3 senators. And then also Representative Byron Donalds of Florida, Elise Stefanik of New York, and then the former Secretary Ben Carson. So quite a list there. Some that are way better than others.
Oh, for sure.
How did you phrase it eloquently about some of the choices here?
I said that some of these candidates probably could not inspire me to make a ham sandwich. I think we're at a point now where Joe Biden, the only person that Donald Trump can beat in an election at this point is Joe Biden, and I think the only person that Joe Biden can beat in an election is Donald Trump. So it's a clash of 2 insanely poor candidates. I think for the Republicans' sake, they have a lot of, in my opinion, really good people that that Donald Trump can bring on as his vice presidential nominee. But I'm worried that he's going to choose someone the equivalent of a stale peanut butter and jelly sandwich that doesn't make us jump out of our seat and race to the polls.
I mean, you really would think that with Joe Biden having the appeal of unflavored oatmeal, and then obviously Donald Trump with, again, the polarizing factors in his leadership, that they would choose a couple of really safe rock star candidates to be their VP, but they're not. Now, Tim Scott was kind of the safe bet that a lot of people seem to believe. I know you're a Tim Scott fan.
Huge.
That was kind of the goal for a while. We're like, he's just going to go with Tim Scott. Scott dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump. It was kind of all set in stone, at least, until yesterday. The New York Post reported that Tim Scott, quote, long seen as the odds-on favorite to be Trump's running mate this year, end quote, is slipping in the VP race and is widely seen by people close to the presumptive GOP nominee as, quote, extremely unlikely, end quote, to be chosen. So what do you think that's about? And really, I guess, who else other than Tim Scott on this list of 7 do you think he goes after? Because I'm seeing a whole lot about Doug Burgum, and I don't see that.
I looked up. I was curious as to how frequently Tim Scott voted for Donald Trump during his presidency. 538 said that he voted in line with Donald Trump about 91% of the time. The cool thing I believe with Tim Scott is that he's someone who you can kind of label as more establishment, but you can also kind of label him as like a Trump guy. I think he's one of those few politicians, Republicans, who can actually get legitimate support from the more establishment side and the more Trump or die side.
Right. That's that traditional conservative group that can both gain the appeal of the establishment and the populace.
Yeah. And I've said for multiple calendar years that one of, and my opinions have changed, but I originally said one of DeSantis, Kristi Noem, or Tim Scott should be on this ticket. I'm still riding with Tim Scott. I have his yard sign in my yard just because I think he would be the perfect VP candidate. But at this point, if Tim Scott isn't a choice, I mean, the only other one that really inspires a little bit of confidence, and this might bore some people, but it would be Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah,
that's the main issue with him. I don't know if you remember, Tony, back in 2016. Though I think one of the bigger reasons why Ben Carson fell is just he's so very he's insanely smart, one of the smartest people in maybe the entire world, but he's so soft spoken, and he doesn't speak with, I don't think, enough conviction in his voice. And to me, as a senior in high school, that's kind of what I took as to why Ben Carson fell. I don't think he would be a bad choice, but other than that, I mean, JD Vance would be cool, I guess, because he's from Ohio, right? They say as goes Ohio goes the country, whatever that saying is, right?
Yeah,
you know, Ohio
right.
typically decides the presidential election, but other than that, like, there's no one else in there that really, it's low bar because Vice President Kamala Harris is interesting
Awful.
to say the least. Yeah, awful interesting. But man, I hope the New York Post is wrong because I'm a Tim Scott guy. I really
I would, if I had to choose my pick of the 7, I would choose Ben Carson as well, because I do believe that a soft-spoken, very thorough man of the books is an excellent choice whenever you're looking at a vice president. The vice president doesn't do much. That's been a joke for all of American history. So I don't know. When I know it's not going to give you Ben Carson. That's the sad thing. When I go to bed at night, I know
it's not.
He's not choosing Ben Carson, and I hate that because I think he should. But that means we have to struggle with who's it going to be. If it's Byron Donalds, I'm just going to be ridiculously disappointed because Byron Donalds is not. He's all reactionary, no substance. And if that makes anybody upset, I'm sorry, but I've literally reported the news out of that man's mouth. Byron Donalds is just there to get camera time. I would be okay with Elise Stefanik. I've seen her as a committee member of the House Education and Workforce.
Sure.
And she's pretty good. I mean, she knows her stuff. She was articulate. She beat the living crap out of Kamala. JD Vance would be good, but I got to be honest with you. I really don't want an isolationist as the vice president.
Yeah.
I just don't. In today's day and age, I want someone who's willing to look at a group of Muslim pirates and say, we'll put you in the Stone Age if you mess with us. I mean, that's the most core of American values for the Navy.
Sure. I kind of hate to say, but I kind of don't. But, you know, the Republicans forever have been given this label by the Democratic Party as being the party of old white men, yada, yada, yada. I don't think we've actually heard that phrase in quite some time, the whole old white men shtick.
It's kind of hard to do when your president's the old white man.
Right. But so, like, if you said Elise Stefanik was the VP nominee, then it's like, oh, we have an old white man, but he's also nominating, you know, this younger woman who's in Congress to be the vice president. Maybe, you know, that resonates better with some of the middle of the road guys, some of the independents, like, oh, you know, Trump picked a woman, you know, this is great, right? Something like that. But, you know, I think, Tony, if you and I were to draft a list to give to Donald Trump, it would probably look a lot different. You and I have known each other for quite some time, and we tend to think we have a reasonable pulse on the Republican Party. And I'm not really sure. Like, I get Marco Rubio, I guess, would be okay. He's kind of,
I think he's gunning for it. I did a little exclusive.
He's been around for long. He's kind of just like
he kind of duked it out with Trump in 2016. If you remember, he'd had that Trump's a con man comment and talked about small hands and whatever. And I think that would cause a little bit of awkwardness for just a little bit. However, Rubio has released a video lately outlining that, you know, we need new leadership. I think that Rubio is either going right now. I think he's kind of gunning for the vice presidential position, as well as if he doesn't get that, he wants to be the next Senate Majority Leader. And so what we're seeing right now is kind of a weird, I would say, battle. In the House, we're seeing a little bit of jostling start to occur between who's going to be the next Speaker of the House and then who's going to be the Senate Majority Leader, which is a fairly cushy job because the Senate's rather set in stone. Vice presidency, though, man. Oof. There are some really bad choices. I just don't want to see Doug Burgum.
No, I think some of these choices are kind of stale. And you did just say a couple minutes ago that the vice president position is largely a joke, but I do think it can have a huge impact on some of these middle ground voters, between them just not voting at all, or between them maybe like,
well, also with this election
to the box and like voting Trump, even though they don't want to, holding their nose or whatever they say.
Well, there's also the argument of the vice president casting the tiebreaker vote. And there is a very real situation we're looking at here, since Republicans seemed hell-bent on throwing away Senate elections in states like Arizona with Kari Lake. It's like, man, if we end up with a 50-50 tie, the vice president's going to need to be reliable enough and intelligent enough to cast good Senate votes. And that's not a guarantee.
Sounds like Tim Scott, Tony. That sounds just like Tim Scott, but here we are.
Here we are. The pain.
So it is quite painful.
By the way, that's why I don't want JD Vance. That's actually JD Vance. I love JD Vance. I think he's a great guy. But as the deciding vote in the Senate, if the United States needed to, let's say, intervene to save Taiwan, I don't want him casting the final vote.
Sure.
I just don't. I want an adult making that decision. And again, I like Vance. I think he's a good guy. I think he has some really great policy decisions. Isolationism that is radical, not just standard. That's not the move.
Sure. Standard isolationism is like, it's reasonable to think of, right? It's a reasonable position to have. But
also protect our trade routes and our 2 or 3 hand-picked allies in the world that are of interest. Taiwan, the UK, and Israel are kind of those 3. And Argentina, if we can swing it.
Cool. That'd be neat.
Yeah, a little Javier Milei ally action there. Well,
we're
about out of time on this one, so I have to bring you back and we'll gripe about Argentina together.
and then whoever Trump picks as his VP, we can gripe about that too on air.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Lou Scateglia, producer for this really great new show that seems to be catching everyone's attention, the Tony Kinnett Cast. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Hey, Rob, I have a question for you. Very important.
Yes, Casey, fire away.
You want to retire one day, right?
Oh, boy, howdy, that would be frickin' awesome.
We all want to retire one day, but we don't just want to retire. We want to do the things that we want to do without running out of the money.
That sounds like a heck of an idea, Casey, and I hope to do that one day thanks to my friend Bill Demery. There are a lot of financial advisors on this station, but we only put our name on one of them. That's Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy. We trust Bill to help us plan for our retirement, and so do Hammer and Nigel, and so does Terry Stacy.
Yep, we trust Bill Demery, and you know what? You can too. Bill can help you get more money from Social Security. He can also help you reduce your taxes, generate income, and minimize your investment risk. So call Bill for your free retirement analysis at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that that I'm able to breathe in and out each night, and I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
Results may vary.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that when you need plumbing help, call who I call, my friends at Hope Plumbing. Not only are they experts in their field who respect the true value of customer service, they also love giving back to this community, which is evident in their referral program. If you refer a friend, Hope Plumbing will give you a $50 gift card to a local restaurant. Great plumbing and supporting local restaurants. What more could you ask for? Visit hopeplumbing.com or give them a call at 641-HOPE.
Terry Stacy here. Honey Baked Ham isn't just for the holidays. Stop in for lunch and choose from handcrafted sandwiches, salads, soups, and more. Or take home a heat and serve family meal that comes with a home-style main dish, sides, and rolls. Perfect for a busy weekend night and better than fast food. Have a special event this spring? Let Honey Baked cater with sandwich trays or a VIP buffet with all the extras. Honey Baked on West 96th Street in Indy or Greyhound Pass in Carmel makes it easy to serve something special any day of the year.
Indy Humane, committed to helping Central Indiana's pets in need since 1905. Find your new best friend today. IndyHumane.org.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIPC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. It's time for a little thing we call Awful Tweets, which is where you out there in the great blue beyond send us some of the worst social media posts you can find. And not just like from your grandmother, like where your grandmother says, I disown you, you smell bad. No, we don't want those. You keep those to yourself. But if there's some kind of a public figure or celebrity that just, really should put the phone down, send those to me. Send those to the one, the only Jerry Lopez. And I'll torture him with them. Jerry, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you doing this Thursday?
I'm doing good because we actually got a lot of good ones this week. We had to cut quite a few of them out. We had to choose just the best of the best. So we're going to start out with a Biden win, Jerry. We talk about all the bad things in the Biden administration right now. What if we started off with something from the account Biden's Wins? So this is from the 13th of June. All right, so that would be today. It says, breaking. Gas and grocery prices are plummeting. Inflation is falling. The Biden economy is roaring. How do you like that?
I mean, look, our listeners are not idiots. I don't need to tell you that tweet is a complete fabricated lie. You can wait a couple weeks for July 4th, but we'll see record prices for probably everything. The fact that somebody could tweet that and send it is like, that's horrible. They talk about misinformation, like that's flat out lying.
I love it. I think that, I don't know. I'm more than happy to watch them continue tweeting that just so people realize just how stark the contrast is to
You know what it reminds me of, Tony? It reminds me of people who are in a cult and then they realize they're in a cult, but it's too late. So now you got to ride it till the wheels fall off.
That's true. Well, speaking of cults that you ride until the wheels fall off, there's a guy named Nathan J. Robinson. And he's an author who wrote this big book on how ideology and clinging to things that aren't true is ruining America. And so this one person asked him, Nathan, do you believe that trans women are women? Think carefully before you answer. And Nathan says, the answer is contained in the question. If trans women weren't women, they wouldn't be trans women. It's like asking whether blue cars are cars or whether tabby cats are cats. Don't waste my time with tautologies. Jerry, tell me, what do you think of this brilliant individual?
Yeah, if trans women were women, then we wouldn't have to say trans women, now would we? Right? We'd just say women, right?
Personally, there are certain things.
Are sandcastles castles, or do we make the distinction? Because they're not the same.
I mean, also, I'd like to be very clear. The Democratic Republic of North Korea is the official name of that state. It's not democratic. And it's not a republic, but it is in the name. It wouldn't be called that, Jerry, if it weren't a democratic republic. So Jen Rubin, who is, we mentioned earlier on in the show, she's special. So there was a CNN tweet earlier today that said, in a meeting with the House GOP, Trump ranted about crime rates and called Milwaukee horrible per the source. It's already been debunked. So then Jen Rubin gets out there. She's going to get all mad. The Washington Post's conservative blogger. She says, and yet no one explores whether he's emotionally or mentally unwell. They simply ignore the issue while the Wall Street Journal runs 999,999 stories on Biden's age. WTF, press. Is that it, Jerry? We should be talking about Trump and Biden's age doesn't matter.
I mean, look, it's kind of like I tweeted a couple of days ago. This election is an ex-president who is healthy enough and has enough of his mental faculties to stand trial essentially for the whole year. Okay, he is 70-something years old. There's nothing to be taken away. He is an older guy, but to have the strength to stand trial the whole year. We have a president now who has been deemed mentally incapable of standing trial. Like, that's why they didn't bring charges to him. Literally, that's what it says.
Oh, but hold on, Jerry. But, like, we need to investigate Trump. He called Milwaukee crime-ridden. Oh, can you imagine? Oh.
I mean, Jacob Blake is one less problem, but, you know.
So this next one is particularly egregious. It's just really gross. So this is about one of the survivors of the hostage situation in which Hamas came in and again, kidnapped a lot of Israeli and international citizens. And so she pointed out that during Noah's first period of captivity, she was kind of half starved, and then she basically was kept as a slave. And she was forced to wash dishes and do chores for the rest of the family during her captivity. And this California professor, Assad Abu Khalil, says, now revelations of torture by Hamas. She had to wash dishes. That is torture if you ask me. Boy, that's quite the tweet, isn't it?
I mean, to have enough, I don't know the right word to use, but to be able to post something like that with no fear of retribution from anybody in your inner circle, no fear of retribution from your peers, no fear of any like that says a lot about your standing in society. All right, there's just a lot of stuff that I want to put on Facebook that I don't put because my mom's my friend on there. I can't imagine this guy's circle. Imagine this guy's circle. Like, what a POS, him, but also there's tons of evidence of the torture that actually took place. To even downplay that is atrocious.
I don't even care if all she did was wash dishes. I'll happen to let you know that it was just as bad that house slaves were owned as opposed to field slaves. Slavery is kind of, bad. I know, bold statements, but not if you're a university professor out in California. This next one is from the Climate Defiance organization. So they said, update, 8 of us have been arrested for shutting down the congressional baseball game. They didn't shut down the game, by the way. They said they are behind bars right now. Make no mistake, it's the members of Congress who should be locked up. They stormed a baseball game, Jerry. Are you impressed?
All right. First of all, not impressed because I saw a kid storm a baseball game and do a backflip before he got tased. All right. So not impressed at all. But I will say, so the name of the person that tweeted that's called Climate Defiance. And in their tweet, they said 8 of us. Yeah, somebody else should be locked up because of these idiots? No, they are responsible. If anybody should be locked up, it's Greta Thunberg. Like, lock her up for these idiots doing this stuff. Right? That's who's responsible for this. Those psychos.
I do love the play stupid games, win stupid prizes crew. I do. And that we're going to trespass and we're going to vandalize and we're going to stop something. And then the consequences occur.
If we start leaving people in place where they cement themselves, that would solve all this, right? So, like, I see myself on downtown Monument Circle on Washington Street in Climate Defiance. Well, now it's Washington and Lopez because his butt is still sitting there in the third lane. We're not going to let him out. You'll never see another person do it again.
All right, I've got one more for you. So this is some big brain thinking from Dave Vecchio, the famous super-duper celebrity. He says, if abortion is illegal, then a man leaving a girl who's pregnant should be illegal too. If women can't back out of pregnancy, neither should men. Yeah, that's kind of the whole conservative point. That's like,
yeah. Thank you for making my point, bud. Like,
yeah.
I don't.
Like, you should. Yeah. You should marry who you're having kids with.
Hashtag great tweet. I don't know what to say. Like, that's a great tweet. How about this one? If you can have one, though, shouldn't I be able to say I want nothing to do with the kid and you should take on that responsibility because you're making a decision without me?
I
have to go both ways. Even though I think you should stick around. You are responsible for your child regardless.
You gotta love it when people accidentally find their way to the right conclusion. Yeah. Jerry Lopez, he's Indie Spanglish over on X. It's always a fun time doing some awful tweets. Great to have you on, man, and we'll have another batch of horrible, stinky posts to share with you next week.
Hey, looking forward to it. Have a great night.
We'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Do they still do mail in Carmel?
Carmel, don't ever change.
I love the living statues that sit on the benches. They're awesome.
Yes, that's how people from Greenwood earn extra money. Oh, I'm going to get emails. What have I done? You know everybody here is just in debt and house poor up to their ass. Don't you laugh, Zionsville. You have it worse. $1.13 trillion of credit card debt. Half of that is on the west side of Carmel.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Mike loves summer in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
Our home is basically a contemporary, and we just started noticing that the paint was just fading and just looked like garbage. We had received a postcard from Rhino Shield, and we decided to take a look at it.
Rhino Shield's formulated for our specific climate here in Indiana.
The process with Rhino Shield and their crew, they were just very conscientious. We had problems in the past with painters. They leave debris and everything. Well, we didn't have that with Rhino Shield.
Way better than paint, backed by a 25-year warranty. And right now, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
The thing about Rhino Shield, the heat gain has been reduced, and we save $70 a month. You don't hear that about any type of paint.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Introducing now. Reliable internet with unlimited data for $30 a month, all in. No commitments, no hidden fees. Now that's calming. Like floating on a cloud, but not in a scary way. More like in a, this cloud is made of cotton candy and it's tasty kind of way. Ooh, that's good. Feeling calmer already. Because now internet comes with no worries and plenty of peace of mind, knowing that you've made the best decision. Cheers to you, my friend. The choice is easy. Turn chill mode on with Now Internet, backed by the Xfinity Network. Now, excuse me, gotta run. I see a massage chair with my name on it.
Get Now Internet starting at $30 a month. It's better tech at a better price and better than 5G home internet. Turn chill mode on at Xfinity.com/now. Restrictions apply. Speeds up to 100 megabits per second. Actual speeds vary. Pricing subject to change.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Do you need air conditioning service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Reinhardt Heating and Cooling? Find that American Standard air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
There are 48 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to access a free guide to help navigate your caregiving journey.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. There are a few stories that have come out in the last couple of days that I couldn't help talking about here just casually at the end of the show. And these are that, so Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas apparently took 3 previously unreported trips paid for by conservative Texas billionaire Harlan Crow, according to new documents released by the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. And this is not the first time that Clarence Thomas has taken trips with Harlan Crow. And that would be because Clarence Thomas and Harlan Crow have been friends for a really long time. Also, Justice Sotomayor has also taken a lot of money in Beyonce tickets. Almost all of the Supreme Court justices have book deals because they wrote books and were paid for it. And this brings us to something that we need to talk about, because this election is all about a lot of fundamental institutions of the United States being questioned down to the very core. And the left has been griping for a very, very, very long time about how terrible the Supreme Court of the United States is. Now, by the way, if there was a liberal majority, a non-originalist, a more modern interpretationist view of the Constitution that was presiding over the majority of the Supreme Court right now, then the left would be defending the Supreme Court. Oh, just lock, stock, and barrel. How could you question such an institution? Like how they're currently defending Attorney General Merrick Garland. So the reason that the left is angry about the Supreme Court is, of course, because they are very angry about Clarence Thomas. And they can't call Clarence Thomas a white supremacist because, kind of doesn't look like a white supremacist. And again, also the Supreme Court has ruled in a lot of 9-0 decisions that really don't make it easy for them to assault. So what do they say? Well, hey, the Supreme Court justice took money. And we need to have a conversation about what is corruption and what is not corruption. Okay, so let us say that for instance, out there is an individual who I'm friends with. Let's pick a random person out there who I'm friends. Corey DeAngelis. Corey DeAngelis, he's in the education choice movement, education reform. He advocates for school choice. And let's say that for some reason that he and his wife invited my family to go on vacation with him. And I said, look, I don't really think so. We don't have the time. He says, dude, I'll cover it. We just want you guys to come and have a good time. It's perfectly fine for me to go on vacation with him. Now, let's say that I was covering Corey DeAngelis in some kind of a scandal. There was something shady, shenanigan-y that came up. Let's say his real name was like Alice or something, and I was going to report that. This whole time he's actually been a girl named Alice. And then he invites me on vacation, and I get back and I change my reporting. That is corrupt. So the moment that Harlan Crow, this Texas billionaire, is a plaintiff or a defendant in a Supreme Court case, by all means. Yeah, that would be a point that Clarence Thomas should recuse himself, I think. That's rather appropriate. The minute that Samuel Alito is ruling on a case that involves his wife in the case, sure, then recusal kind of makes sense. But I'm sorry, just because Sotomayor got free Beyonce tickets because one of Beyonce's producers or production team likes Justice Sotomayor, doesn't mean that Sotomayor is like calling up Beyonce and saying, hey girl, what do you think I should do regarding this case next week? No! It's the same NRA nonsense argument, the AIPAC argument in regard to Israel, that like apparently there are all these secret money groups that I was actually, as a justice, I was going to rule the other way. And then you came along with the money. Now, sure, we hold the same political beliefs and we've been friends for decades, and I didn't actually take money. I either did some type of service in writing a book, or you gave me concert tickets, or like a vacation, which are not like massive monetary things. But, you offer those in front of me. Does that actually change the vote? If the answer is no, if I was already going to rule that way, then I'm sorry. If you're not connected to the case and it doesn't change my vote, it's not corruption and bribery. It's just not. And by the way, the original man to make that point in American society in the early 1900s was Upton Sinclair, the very journalist who exposed the Chicago meat factory industry. Because as soon as he exposed that all of these places were filthy and there was no safety or regulation, and people threw up as they read the morning paper and his report was referenced, people started a lot of backlash and saying that, maybe we don't need any automated industry. Maybe the government should shut down any kind of meat factories or things like that. We should just have very small butchers. And Upton ended up writing a counter column and saying, no, that's not the case either. We should probably just wash the blades that are cutting the meat. And people accused him of, now he was taking money from the meat factory. Ooh, big secret dark money, whatever. No. It is not everything is some secret exposed case of super duper ultra corruption bribery that you stumbled upon in your brilliant wisdom. Get out of here. Get out of here. I swear, some people think that behind every single corner is some backroom shady deal that really smacks more of schizophrenia than it actually does of good investigative work or any kind of political point that you're making. And by the way, I hear about this all the time, that there's secret collusion to keep individuals out of this or doing this or whatever. And are there individuals that act in sneaky fashion? Absolutely. All the time. That does indeed happen. But the moment that you then take the correlation of, sometimes there are cases of corruption, sometimes there are, like Menendez, who took gold bars from Egypt, direct monetary cost, and then after he started taking money from Egypt, he started changing how he voted on foreign policy bills and foreign relations. Yeah, that's a case of bribery, because, it fits the parameters that I was just talking about. He wasn't friends with the country of Egypt for long years. But the minute that you start saying that anytime anyone gets any kind of favor, like someone walks up, hands me a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden I'm complicit in some type of corruption scheme, get out of here. Don't be silly just for the sake of being silly. We will be back yet again with another fantastic fun time here on the air. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. Have a good night.
I'll give my everything.